On July 7th, Meta quietly launched a feature that allows complete strangers to generate AI images of your face using your public Instagram photos. You were not asked, you were not notified. You did not receive an email, a pop-up, or any kind of alert explaining what was happening. The feature went live on a Tuesday with no announcement to users, whose faces and lives had just been made available as raw material for anyone else's AI image generation experiments. The feature is called Muse Image. And unless you go 3 menus deep into your Instagram settings and turn off specific toggles that most people have never seen, your public posts are right now available to this system. Before you do anything else, I need you to understand something that makes this more urgent than a typical privacy settings update. Turning off the setting only prevents future AI generation from your account. It does not retroactively delete images that have already been created using your photos since the feature launched. Every day you do not turn this off is another day of your face, your likeness, your visual identity being available to a system that can generate content you never approved, never saw, and cannot control. This is not a hypothetical future concern. This is happening right now. Let me explain exactly what this feature does, exactly what it means for your safety, and exactly how to turn it off today. What Muse Image actually is. Meta's Muse Image is an AI image generation tool integrated into the Instagram ecosystem. The system uses your public Instagram photos as source material to enable AI-generated imagery that incorporates your likeness. The word strangers needs to be emphasized here because it is the element that distinguishes this from features you might have seen from other platforms. This is not Meta generating AI images of you internally for their own business purposes, though that happens separately and we will discuss it. This is not even Meta making your images available to advertisers for AI-generated advertising content, which also happens. This is a feature that allows other users, people you do not know and have never interacted with, to generate AI images of your face using your public posts as the source material. The generation capability includes the ability to create realistic images that place your face in contexts, situations, and settings that you never agreed to appear in. The person generating these images does not need to follow you. They do not need your approval. They need only the existence of your public Instagram profile and access to Muse Image, which is now a standard feature available to users. This raises questions that did not exist a year ago, and that the existing framework of platform terms of service and privacy settings was not designed to answer adequately. When you posted a photo to your public Instagram account, what did you consent to? You agreed that Meta could use that photo in the ways described in their terms of service. Those terms of service have evolved over time, and Meta has updated them to accommodate AI capabilities, but the user experience at the time of posting most of those photos did not include the information that a stranger might later use. That photo to generate AI images of your face. The gap between what users understood they were consenting to and what Meta has now made possible with that content is the central privacy concern that Muse Image creates. The real-world risk categories. The concern here is not abstract or theoretical. There are specific, concrete ways that a feature allowing strangers to generate AI images of your face creates risks that affect real people's lives in real ways. Identity fraud and biometric bypass. Financial institutions and verification services increasingly use biometric facial recognition as a security layer. When you verify your identity for a bank account, a financial service, or a government platform, facial recognition compares your live image to reference images to confirm you are who you claim to be. AI-generated images of your face, created from your public Instagram photos, can be used to attempt to bypass these verification systems. This is not a future threat. Scammers are already using AI-generated imagery to attempt to defeat facial recognition systems, and the availability of high-quality source material from public social media profiles makes their attempts more sophisticated and more likely to succeed. A feature that makes it easier to generate realistic images of anyone with a public Instagram profile, using that profile's own photos as source material, is a feature that makes identity fraud attacks easier to execute and harder for verification systems to detect. Harassment and impersonation. The creation of AI-generated images that place a real person in humiliating, compromising, or false contexts is already a documented harm that has affected thousands of people, disproportionately women. Non-consensual intimate imagery, fake contexts designed to damage professional reputations, and fabricated visual records of events that never occurred are all harms that AI image generation technology has enabled. Before Muse Image, creating convincing AI-generated images of a specific person required either technical skill and specialized tools or access to platforms that were at least somewhat restricted. Muse Image lowers that barrier significantly by integrating the capability into a mainstream consumer platform and providing easy access to high-quality source material from the target's own public profile. The person who wants to harass someone they know personally, or a public figure they resent, or a stranger whose profile they have found, now has a significantly easier pathway to creating AI-generated images of that person than existed before July 7th, phishing and social engineering. The most insidious risk category is the one that affects not just you, but the people who trust you. AI-generated images and increasingly AI-generated video that realistically depicts your face, combined with voice cloning technology that has become widely accessible, enables sophisticated social engineering attacks targeting your family, friends, and professional contacts. An attacker who has generated convincing AI imagery of your face can create fake messages that appear to come from you, fake video calls that appear to show you, and fake evidence of situations that appear to involve you. These attacks target the trust that your personal relationships are built on. Your elderly parents receive a message that appears to be from you, including imagery that looks like you, describing an emergency situation and requesting immediate financial help. Your professional contacts receive what appears to be a message from you, complete with realistic AI-generated imagery, asking them to click a link or provide information. Your friends receive content that appears to show you in situations you were never in. The attacks work because the trust is real, even when the content generating it is fabricated. And the ease with which convincing imagery can now be generated using someone's public Instagram profile as source material makes these attacks accessible to attackers who previously lacked the technical sophistication to create convincing fakes. These are not edge cases. They are documented attack patterns that are becoming more common as AI image generation becomes more accessible. Muse Image makes them more accessible to anyone targeting anyone with a public Instagram presence. This section needs your full attention because the setting is not where you would expect to find it, and the terminology Meta uses for the relevant toggles is not straightforward. The Muse Image AI reuse settings are buried 3 menu levels deep in Instagram, which is not an accident. Settings that are easy to find get turned off. Settings that require navigation are typically left at their default state, which in this case is the state that allows AI reuse of your content. Here is exactly how to find and disable the relevant settings. Open Instagram, tap your profile picture in the bottom right corner to go to your profile page. Tap the 3 horizontal lines in the top right corner of your profile page to open the menu. From that menu, tap Settings and Privacy. This takes you to the main settings page. On the settings page, look for an option called Permissions, which may also be labeled Meta Permissions or Content Permissions, depending on your app version. Tap it. Within the permissions section, you are looking for AI features or a section related to how your content can be used by AI systems. The specific option you need is labeled AI Reuse. You may see this as a single toggle or as separate toggles for posts and reels. You need to turn off AI Reuse for posts. You need to separately turn off AI Reuse for reels. These are separate toggles that must each be individually disabled. When you turn off each toggle, Instagram will confirm the change. Complete both toggles before leaving this section. Log into Instagram in your browser, click your profile icon in the top right corner, click Settings from the drop-down menu, navigate to Privacy, then to Content Permissions or Permissions, then locate the AI Features or AI Reuse section. The same toggles for posts and reels should be available. Disable both. Verify the change. After completing the changes on whichever platform you used, check that both toggles show as off or disabled before closing the settings. Do not assume the change is saved without verifying, as platform settings occasionally revert or fail to save during high traffic periods. If you have multiple Instagram accounts, you need to repeat this process for each account separately. The setting applies per account, not per Meta profile globally. Do this now before you continue reading. The rest of this explanation will still be here when you return. The difference between AI reuse and AI training. Meta's AI activities across its platforms involve multiple distinct processes, and the confusion between them has led to misunderstandings about what specific settings changes actually accomplish. Muse Image's AI Reuse feature, which allows strangers to generate images of you using your public posts, is distinct from Meta's AI model training, which uses your content to improve the underlying Llama AI models that power Meta's various AI systems. Turning off the AI Reuse toggles specifically addresses the Muse Image feature. It prevents your public posts from being used as source material for AI image generation by other users. This is the most urgent change to make, given the direct, immediate risk it addresses. AI model training is a separate process governed by different settings and different legal frameworks, depending on where you live. In the European Union and several other jurisdictions with strong data protection laws, you have the right to formally object to Meta using your content to train its AI models. This formal objection process is different from the AI Reuse toggle and must be submitted separately through Meta's privacy request mechanisms. If you are outside jurisdictions with formal objection rights, the settings available to you for AI model training are more limited. Meta's position is that its terms of service, which users agreed to when creating their accounts, provide the basis for using public content in AI training processes. The legal status of this position is contested in multiple jurisdictions and is the subject of ongoing regulatory proceedings. The distinction matters because you need to take both actions if you want to address both concerns. The AI reuse toggle addresses Muse image specifically. A formal training objection, if available in your jurisdiction, addresses the model training process separately. Doing one without the other leaves one of the two concerns unaddressed. There is also a third distinct process. Meta uses data from interactions with its AI chatbots, including on WhatsApp, to inform advertising personalization. This is separate from both AI reuse and model training. Information you share in conversations with Meta's AI systems may be used to target advertising to you based on the topics, interests, and personal details those conversations reveal. If you use WhatsApp's AI features or Meta AI in conversations using the incognito chat option where available, limits the extent to which those conversations are used for advertising. Personalization purposes. This is the appropriate privacy setting for that specific concern, separate from the Muse image AI reuse settings and any formal training objection you may file. 3 separate systems, 3 separate privacy concerns, 3 separate categories of action required to address each one. One of the most important things to understand about Meta's AI features is that there is no single setting that turns them all off. This is not an oversight in the settings design. It is the architecture of a system where different AI capabilities are governed by different policy frameworks, different legal bases in different jurisdictions, and different technical infrastructure. A single master switch would require Meta to commit to a level of AI feature restriction that its business model cannot accommodate. The practical consequence for users who want to minimize their exposure to Meta's AI capabilities is that they need to address each specific feature separately. The AI reuse toggles for Muse image, the formal training objection where legally available, the incognito chat option for chatbot interactions. Each of these requires separate action in separate parts of Meta's settings architecture. This is not a comfortable situation. It places the burden of navigating complex privacy settings on individual users rather than on the platforms that created those settings. It requires users to understand distinctions between different AI processes that are not intuitive and that Meta's user interface does not make transparent. But it is the reality of the current regulatory and platform environment, and the alternative to navigating it is accepting the default state of all settings, which is the state of maximum data availability to Meta's AI systems. The Muse image launch points to a shift in how platforms are treating the content users have posted publicly. The assumption that posting something publicly means it is available for human viewing but subject to reasonable norms about reproduction and reuse has been replaced by an environment where public content is explicitly treated as training and generation material for AI systems. This shift has happened gradually, embedded in terms of service updates that most users do not read carefully, and accelerated by AI capability developments that have created new uses for publicly available content that did not exist when that content was originally posted. The most practical response to this shift involves becoming more conscious about what you post publicly. Content that is visible only to your followers or contacts, rather than to the general public, is subject to different terms and provides less available source material for AI systems that rely on publicly accessible content. This does not mean abandoning public social media presence if it serves legitimate purposes. It means being thoughtful about which content needs to be public and which can be limited to a more restricted audience, and making that decision with the current platform AI practices in mind, rather than the implicit assumptions of an earlier era of social media. The development of AI features that use public social media content as source material is not going to reverse. The technical capability exists. Platforms have concluded that it is within their legal rights to use it in various ways, and the commercial incentives to deploy it are significant. The appropriate response is not despair, but informed action. Understand what is happening. Use the settings that are available to limit the specific uses you find most concerning. Make conscious decisions about what you share publicly, and stay informed as new features are launched and existing policies evolve. Meta's Muse image is a concrete example of why these practices matter and why acting on them cannot wait for a convenient moment. The convenient moment passed on July 7th when the feature went live without announcing itself to the people whose faces it made available. The next convenient moment is right now, before another day of your public content being available as AI generation source material passes without you having addressed it. Go to your Instagram settings, find the AI reuse toggles, turn them off. Then share this with everyone you know who has a public Instagram account, because they almost certainly do not know this is happening either.